Hey, welcome to the channel. Thanks for following. And by the way, the market is changing really quickly here in Florida. We're seeing distress showed up, but in ways that maybe you have not thought of before. I've spent the last 30 days making the Florida housing market tracker where you can find out every piece of information you need to make a decision in Florida. We're going to have a drill down by state, by county, by zip code, even by neighborhood and individual listing over the next few months. We've hired a development team to build this out. I'm excited to show you what we've built right now, but this is the information that you need to know about what's happening in Florida. So the first thing you need to know is that home prices are falling, inventory is also falling. So I'm going to be explaining to you through 10 unique charts why that is actually happening and how the market looks healthier than it is, and there's actually a lot of more distress under the surface than you might imagine. Also, we're seeing sellers are cutting their price more each month at 25.2% of listings getting a price cut. The one area that is still staying strong is this inland North Florida areas where it didn't see this massive boom from 2020 to 2022. It's kind of been left behind. These are rural counties, and they're starting to accelerate up to keep up with what we saw in prior years, because that's where the affordability is. Where we're seeing the biggest declines is the Gulf Coast. And honestly, what happened was the floor broke. So even though we're during busy season, the market is starting to retract. You can find all of this information here at movewithmomentum.com/data-Florida housing tracker. And we're going to be adding more and more data every single month that comes through. So we're really excited about what we're going to be able to share with you. Just some off the bat pieces of information. We've seen a 3% change in prices year over year. We're down in inventory as well, but look at this, 85% of zip codes are actually declining. 46 of 47 counties are declining, and we're seeing those price cuts start to take effect even during busy season. So you can go through here and read all the reports that you want. If you need to go through and check your individual county or where your listing is that you're looking at, you can go ahead and take a look there as well. We have every single county piece of data that you could want, but what I'm most excited to show you are these custom charts that can really help you give an idea of what is happening in the Florida real estate market and across the board. So this is the Florida home prices just set a fresh cycle low. So obviously from 2020 to even 2024, which is when we peaked, we had this massive acceleration from a demand shock where people relocated here on top of record low interest rates that drove massive demand. When the Fed started raising rates in March of 2022, that really started to slow things down. And now, just a few years later, we're starting to see the market really soften and no longer move up. So we had this winter flat line. Basically, we've been flat for a couple months. And honestly, what's going to happen with Florida moving forward is most likely further declines going into the rest of the year. We're going to be sharing this data along with where the sources of the data comes from every single month as we go along here. You can check back in and see what's happening with the data, but we have an explanation of why all of this is happening if you want to go through that as well. But Florida's price floor is a seller strike. Sellers are getting really frustrated. That means that sellers are rage delisting or taking their listing off of the market when they can't get the price that they want, and it's very frustrating. You can actually see that not only are prices falling, but they're falling in areas where people have the most listings that they're taking off the market as well. So they're just saying, hey, I can't sell my house. I don't get enough equity out of my house to be able to move into my next house, so I'm just going to take my house off the market. They're hoping that prices get better next year, but we're unlikely to really see that happen. But you can see all of these different areas around here with listings withdrawn at the fastest rate are up here, and the red zones are held the prices up by basically leaving the marketplace, or hey, I'm going to try again next year, or I'm going to try again in a different way, or even we see people turn them into what we call an accidental landlord, where the property comes back on as a rental, which is something that we're actually going to be tracking moving forward. Also, we're seeing price cuts accelerate again, right? We saw massive price cuts in prior months, which is great. That's how we got the prices down just a little bit. In December, when the market's the slowest, we saw less price cuts, but now we're seeing more price cuts across the board. So buyers are pushing back and sellers are retesting the market again by relisting their house that they had on the market previously. This is an indication that sellers are starting to lose control, and we're likely to see this, price decreases continue as time goes on, as more inventory does come on the market going into the end of the year. Now, here's the chart that shows that 85% of Florida zip codes lost value in the past year. You can see that the median zip code lost 2.6%. There's 683 zip codes that actually fell. Some zip codes like Broward County fell 13.1%, which is absolutely incredible. And then there's 118 that rose, that actually went up in price. So it's not, every market doesn't crash. This is why we say real estate is hyper-local. And by the way, even in some counties, you can see that there's a massive divide of what's going on in the real estate market. I'm going to show you that exact information so you can make the best decision for you and your family, because real estate is hyper local. Even just being one street over can make a difference in what's going on with prices. But I think this is a great visual. And by the way, we're going to be rolling this out for every state across the country. So you're going to be able to see which areas are doing well and which ones aren't doing so well moving forward. So here's what I'm talking about, the same county, opposite housing markets. Every big county has a green market and a red market. The county average describes neither. Look at this. So you can see Palm Beach is down 13%. But in the other areas, in the best zip code, it's up 7.1%. That is a 20% spread in Palm Beach, which is incredible. In Miami-Dade, you can see that there's one zip code that's down 8.5% and one zip code that's up 6.6%. Duval County, that's where I am in Jacksonville. There's areas like downtown that are down drastically, while there's areas at the beaches. And this is what we're talking about with the K-shaped economy. The top 10%, because their assets continue to get inflated, they continue to make a fortune, and yet the bottom 80% of the working class are continuing to fall behind. And so it depends on which zip code you're in, which basically shows you how you feel about the economy. The majority of the people are not in the top 10%, obviously top 20%. And so they're not feeling good about what's going on. They're not able to purchase a home. They don't have the savings. They don't have the down payment. But the wealthy people who often live on the water and in mansions, they're actually holding up a lot better in a lot of areas around Florida. That's what, again, we call the K-shaped economy. There's one that's going up and there's one that's going down. The majority of people are going down. It's really hard to see. But there's really no market that's like honestly doing that well at the middle class price point. It's mostly what we're seeing is the very wealthy price points are doing the best because there's limited supply in those areas. So here's the two Floridas. I like this map so you can see what's actually going on. You can see this North Florida rural areas are still doing okay. And then you can see the South, the Gulf Coast epicenter, the Southeast Florida are falling the most and pretty rapidly. We didn't expect that there was going to be this much pain in such a short period of time, especially within just a year. I expect it actually to go out about 5 to 6 to 7 years out, that Florida is going to be in a very challenging real estate market, especially if rates continue to stay stubbornly around 6.5%. But this just shows you, again, there's no one single Florida, there's multiple Floridas. And you'll need to figure out your individual county, and I'm going to be able to give you the neighborhood data as well. Hey, how is this neighborhood doing? So that's the exciting thing that's coming next. This is the Palm Beach 20-point housing split that I was previously referencing. It shows Boca in this zip code is the typical value is $1 million. They're still going up and crushing it. And then you can see West Palm Beach, the zip code, it's a bunch of condos, 139,000. They continue to decrease in price. So this is what we're exactly, it shows the K shape right here. Here's the line for the K, here's the up K, here's the down K. This is literally a description of the K-shaped economy that's going on right now. And those condos are absolutely getting crushed. Florida counties are ranked here by the typical home value. You can compare it from all the way from 2018, depending on which county that you're in. And it goes all the way, how much did that county increase in home price appreciation from 2019 and from 1 year ago versus the peak. There's still some counties that are still at the peak, and so it's important to understand that. And then at the bottom here, there's a lot of counties that are not doing so well. You can see Duval County is down 5.2% from the peak. Now, there's some counties that are already in a correction, which a correction is over 10%. And the problem with that is that the market, the people just aren't even talking about this. You can even see this market right here is down 10%. This one's down 11%. So there's some counties that are already in a correction. A crash is down 30%. I think that we will probably see that if we see job loss and we see net migration and international immigration continue to fall and eventually go negative, we absolutely could have some sort of crash scenario in Florida because of all the new construction that's here. And there's going to be a lot of data that I'm going to be putting out about new construction moving forward. I think it's one of the most important trends to follow. But the great thing to understand is we had this massive appreciation. It basically priced out the middle class, and then we're starting to decelerate and actually move negative now. That's why I really like this chart here. Now, chart 9, this is where you can actually look at how your county is doing over the last 14 years, right? So since the bottom in 2012, how much has prices appreciated since 2012? I mean, over 100%. This is why people are feeling the pain in the middle class who are working here in Florida that didn't buy. In some cases, even in Hendry County, you can see it's almost up 300%, which is incredible. So obviously you picking which county you want to live in or even you want to invest in can determine your rate of return by up to 3x, 4x, which is pretty incredible. And you need to really be following the data. Now, this is the most important chart that I want you to look at because this gives you the greatest insight into what is going on with Florida and why Floridians who are not very wealthy are feeling the pain right now. This is where home prices outran paychecks the most. So you can see the Glades values increased 86% since 2019 and wages actually went down 5%. So this is really interesting. Now, some of the data doesn't overlap perfectly, but it does give you a great from a time frame perspective, but it does give you a great insight into what is going on. Every single county fell behind on wages versus values. Okay, so we people are just not being paid enough. So you can see here, let's pick one that, let's see, Nassau County. So you can see that values of prices in Nassau since 2019 went up 61%, but wages only went up 27%. So the difference is why people in Nassau feel like they're just falling behind. This is real. It's not some made up thing that, people, oh, you just need to like work harder to make more money. No, your shelter cost is one of your largest expenses. Now it's up to 38% of your paycheck, and your paycheck is just not keeping up with the cost of the housing, and you lump mortgage rates on top of that. This is just the value of the house. This doesn't even include where mortgage rates are headed. And so we're going to be able to put out more data on every single county and what is happening, because we really think it's important for you to understand that this market is really backwards. It's really hard to invest. You're starting to see the institutional investors start to basically back out of the market and trim their portfolios heavily. We're seeing hedge funds call us and trim their portfolios. We're seeing, even multifamily people start to see distress out there in the marketplace. You see the people on the side of the street start flipping signs saying 3 months of free rent. We are seeing this across the board. So here's what I want you to do. If you want to sign up and get, information, go to this page and you can register to get an update whenever we send out new information. We have so much information on this page and we're going to be sharing more of it. We share where we're getting the information from. This is where you can get the report. So every time it updates, the next update will be July 16th. You can get this report by signing up here with your name, email, and phone number. That's so we can stay in touch with you and get you this information. We're really excited to be able to share this level of data. I kept watching other people out there put their own data out there. I can get better data than what other people are putting out there. Now, right now, we're basically regurgitating these other, sources of information, but soon I'll be able to have a proprietary data set that I'll be able to share with you. That's going to be really exciting, where you will be able to drill down and have housing intelligence data all the way down to the neighborhood level. So go to the website, movewithmomentum.com, check it out, click through, and obviously go to this one as well, Housing Tracker. If you want to stay in touch, go ahead and register here. I look forward to hearing from you and getting feedback. If there's a piece of data that you think I should include, let me know. I'm committed to building the best housing intelligence platform for consumers, buyers, and sellers on the planet. We think that there's a huge play there that we can really give a lot of value to. And of course, if you need a top real estate agent around Florida, reach out to us. We're happy to get you in touch with one of the top agents here and make a connection for you. So thanks so much for following. I hope to see you next week and have a great weekend.